How you doing, guys? This is Hybridsteel. Welcome to another Hydroneer 2.0 video. Now, I get this question a lot, and when I say a lot, it comes up in my live streams a lot, my Discord, and comments an abundance, and it's always the same question. I've just finished at the first plot. Where do I go now? So my honest opinion always comes down to two places, but I'm going to go through them all today and actually have a chat with you about each plot of land. So, this is the original plot of land. This is Ember Cradle. It is split into two sections, one over there and one here. Goes down 5 squares, a little bit narrow in the middle, but you can set up a fairly decent T1 build on top level. I mean, it's not that bad. It's still not going to earn you a shed ton of money, but it's still not a bad place to learn the basics of the game, make sure you're doing things properly, and sort of get a feel for everything. And even then, you could still get a fairly decent sized build if you go between plots, or you can have 100 on one side. It does fit. I have tested it, but it's a bit tight and you have to know what you're doing. But just saying, it's a good place to start, very good place to keep yourself actually going whilst you're trying to get to whatever goal you're going for. But from this plot, I get it. There's a bit more choice now. We haven't just got 3 plots of land. We've now got 5. So we're going to go through a few. We're going to go through them all now, and I'm going to give you my rundown of why I would go to certain places and why I wouldn't go to certain places. Number one, obviously, we're going to go to Mildew. It's the cheapest plot of land you can buy. It's just not as good as what it should be, but it's because it's been messed around with because of the tier system. And yes, I'm floating because I have a cap and it's creative mode. So this, unfortunately at the moment, is what you've got at Mildew. A fairly decent build. At its deepest goes down to 21 or 22 blocks, depending where you start measuring. And you've got tier 1 pond, tier 2 pond, and tier 3 floor. Now on that map it does say it does go down to a tier 3 water hole, but there's no water at the moment, so I don't know if that's getting put in or it's just not going to be there. At the end of the day, these are just one thing you have to take into consideration. What sort of build are you going to go for? When we do eventually get to tier 3, are you going to go all the way down, or are you just going to sort of poddle around on tier 2 and have this as extra space? And all these questions you have to ask yourself of where you're going. Now when it comes to ease of mining, in fairness, you can get a fairly decent run off of here, and you can get a fairly decent run off of there, but as you can see, the areas of tier 1 and tier 2 are quite small. From this line on, yes, the whole thing is tier 1, but then when you go down, it goes to tier 2, and it gets a little bit harder to make any money unless you've got the right equipment, the drills, and then you've got to mine through quite a lot of oddly shaped areas just to get down to tier 2 and to build a fairly decent setup. So this is why for me it's changed too much for me to sort of recommend it anymore. Me personally, I wouldn't touch Mildew, even though yes, it's the cheapest. Money's quite an abundance in this game, so you don't have to sacrifice cash to have a decent plot of land. Right, moving on. Quarry. Now, Quarry used to be flipping ridiculously horrible. No one likes Quarry, or no one liked Quarry. The one main reason why people don't really like Quarry is because this is the entire water supply for the entire area. Yes, it has, it's a pond, but look at the land mass you get with it. You get a massive area of land. You have to do a little bit of customization when it comes to the ramp because it's not stable to get down. This is the whole thing emptied out. So if you build a little tin ramp down here, or you've got a way of getting down to right at the bottom of tier 3. Now tier 3, I've got to be completely honest, is absolutely stunning. Now I was doing my pickaxe testing down here, so that's pretty much why they're here. But if you look at the size, this bottom area of tier 3, you can get a fairly decent sort of build down there. And at the end of the day, that's what you're really thinking of. If you're a person like me, you want to be testing out a bigger build, look at the floor space of tier 2, which is about where that ridge is. All this is tier 2, and then it goes up to tier 3, which is this sort of section here. And it gives you an idea of how big this place really is once you get it a little bit level, a little bit messed up. And it gives you a bigger space to work on. Now, granted, I don't see a lot of people maybe coming over to Drek, but look, if you look at the space to the cost, I think this is the second cheapest plot in the game. But if you consider how much space you get for tier 3, this might be one of those possibilities. Going over to my home away from home in this game, South Hope. So South Hope, the reason why I like South Hope is because it is probably the biggest plot of land in the game. And also its floor mass, when you get down to the bottom, is, you know, it's oddly shaped, but it's still fairly decent. A lot of space down there. Tier 3 looks alright, and when you get down to that space, because everything's been cleared out, the sides are actually walking up. You can actually walk up the sides, so that makes the game, it makes it a little bit easier to maneuver as well. South Hope being that all of this is your water source, you're not going to run out of water too soon, and builds around here can be sort of like leveled out and be happy, and you know, you've got enough space to mess around with. Downside to South Hope is ever since like the 2.0 upgrade, obviously we've got these mounds of dirt everywhere now, and you have to level that out. There is a couple of mods out, and I will be going into them in a little bit at some point, but I just want to say that South Hope has always treated me well in the past, and the builds you can make here are fairly decent. And at the end of the day, that's sort of all I look for. And this does come in at 6,600, which is quite steep, but for the landmass you get, for the amount of space you get, this is one of my recommended. I would either go here or Drek. Right, let's move on to the two brand new plots, shall we? We're going to go to Snow Rune first because it's outside, and then we'll go into Ice Helm because, well, Ice Helm's inside, and yeah, it's a little bit different down there, but you know, it does have potential. The only reason why I don't go there is because I'm a YouTuber and I like light because it shows my videos off instead of dingy darkness and horrible dungeony and then having to like light it all myself. Okay, so this is Snow Rune. This is 7,000 gold, so one of the more expensive plots of land, and actually not a bad size when it comes to the bowl. Now the bowl, as you can see, you can get a fairly decent build down here. Downside is a little bit like Drek Quarry, that the water source is this pond and you have to pipe your water all the way down to here. Now, if you consider building here, your builds are going to be fairly decent. They're not going to be too bad when it comes to like size. Downside is the piping. That's all you've got to really worry about. And then you've got to try and figure out a way of getting out, because for what I understand is that none of these walls are walkable. So you have to put a little ladder system in. Now, it's not a bad plot. It's got a decent size to it. It's got a decent depth to it. Obviously, they're all like much deeper now. But this is actually not a bad place, and especially because of the view as well. I mean, the view up here is not too bad. It gives you a bit more of a panoramic sort of scenery for Hydroneer. And at the end of the day, I know some people like snow, so it's all good. You know, I mean, you're not going to freeze your giblets off up here, but it's a decent plot of land, and it does have its charm. Now let's go into Ice Helm. Now, Ice Helm is surprisingly, well, I mean, people do come here, but it's not as used as what I thought it would be. Ice Helm will cost you 7,200, which is pretty steep, right? Now, most expensive plot in the game, you're expecting something a little bit more like, I don't know what you're expecting for that price. The reason why it's so expensive is because everything is really close to what you need it. Just out that door and up the stairs is the shop, and then you've got the forge just above us, like right above us. And that means that you're so close to making drills and stuff, you don't really have to worry about anything. Downside to this place is this is your water supply, so your water has to be piped in all the way to the back, which, you know, here it doesn't look very big, but this is still pretty deep, right? This goes back like the same amount, 21, 22 squares. Downside, the floor is a little bit uneven, so you want to even all this out. And so the main concerns I always get from this is like how far back does it go and what does it do? It basically does exactly the same as all the other plots of land. The downside is that because it's horizontal and not vertical, it always seems a bit more shallow. Now, when you put your builds higher in this plot of land, it doesn't actually matter. With this, it comes down to how far back they are, is depending on the type of soil you're going to be digging. So yeah, each plot of land has its own characteristics and sort of what you want out of it all. Now, if you want something that's going to be quite simple to set up when it comes to a small water source, Ice Helm is actually fairly decent. The downside to Ice Helm is, as you can see, it gets a bit murky. I'd have to put in more lighting and stuff, and I'm not really a big lighty person. But, you know, this would be good for an RGB build. It'd be good for like an inside dungeon build. If you like that, sort of like dark, dingy, gothic-y, like dwarfy sort of feel, then it's all good down here. I haven't got anything negative really to say about Ice Helm. It's just it's not where I really want to be because of the light. That's my issue. When it comes to all the other plots of land, they all come with their own sort of, well, as I said, they come with their own characteristics, and it sort of makes you feel that it all comes down to your personal choice. The reason why I'm making this video is mainly because I get asked this question a massive amount of times, and people always want to know, hey, where would you go? It's like, I already tell people where I always go. Let's put it this way. My entire life on Hydroneer has always been spent playing in the same sort of situations. I've always been playing in South Hope, and I've really wanted to explore Drek, but it was never appealable until now. Like, the tier 3 section actually made me consider using Drek quite a lot. South Hope has always been that place, and the reason why for me is because, well, it's just the biggest plot of land that you can get, and it comes with the most in it, and that's what I really like about it. At the end of the day, that's just the joys of my choice. The choice is actually yours. I know I can sit here and recommend whatever plot of land as many times as I really want, but at the end of the day, that choice is yours. And whatever the choice you make and wherever you tend to go, if you don't like it, you can just move to another plot and find your own home away from home. That's just how Hydroneer is. Make your game your game. The reason why these videos exist, and basically my entire channel turns into a Hydroneer content channel once every now and then. I mean, it's been a couple of years since we've done like a massive influx like this, but the reason why my videos exist is to help you, not to tell you how to do things. The reason why is because this game is to make your own way in it. Do what you want, do it how you like. I'm only here to offer advice and to give you an idea of what you can do. But if you don't choose to listen to me and you choose to go off and do your own thing, that's okay. And that's how I've always been. This game, for me, has just been a way of helping other people. I'm not telling you how to do things. Unless, in fairness, you do it really, really badly, then I'll tell you how to do things. But it's more of a freedom. So whichever plot of land you end up, whichever build you choose to do, however high or low or wherever you build, that's up to you. And that's how it should be. So thank you very much for kicking by. I hope all this information about these plots of land has been valuable. Don't forget, wherever you end up, you have got to travel to a shop to buy stuff, unless you're using mods and creative mode and all the other stuff. Then you don't have to go anywhere. You could just build an imaginary TV and be happy. But it's all up to you. And that's just where it should be. So thank you very much for kicking by. This has been Hybridsteel. If you have enjoyed this video, if you found it informative, let me know in the comment section below. If I've missed anything and you want me to cover something else, down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until then, thank you very much for kicking by. I'll see you all later. Peace out. Have fun. Enjoy everything you guys do. Boom. Fist bump to you.